So what obstacles do young atheists have to deal with? It's a tough question to answer because there's a lot of them, unfortunately. Some of it depends on where you live. I mean, if you live, in the Bible Belt or in the Deep South, your obstacles are very different than someone who lives in, New York or Oregon or something like that. But, there's a few different categories. First, you might have to deal with your family. Do you even tell them you're an atheist? Do you tell them you don't want to go to church anymore? That's kind of the primary thing, because when you're a kid, you're under your parents' house, you're under the roof, you're under their control. So you might have to go with them to church on Sunday. If you're in my case, you had to go to like a prayer thing once or twice a month. And telling your parents you don't want to be a part of that is a challenging thing to do. And I know a lot of people who just try to avoid the subject, or they don't want to bring it up because they don't want to ruin that relationship with their parents. I remember, one girl who was quoted in a newspaper article. Her high school had started an atheist club, and the article quoted her as saying that she didn't tell her parents where she was after school. One girl said she just lied to her parents. She said she was at Ocean Club instead of at the atheist club. And another girl said, I don't tell my dad where I am because, he's in the military and he would be really upset if she told him she were an atheist. And she just didn't want to ruin that relationship. So I empathize with her a lot. That's a huge obstacle. For a lot of students, it's not until they go to college when they can finally explore their atheism and openly talk and tell people that they are atheists because they're out of their parents' household. So that's one obstacle. Another one is in school. Do they even tell their friends? Because in a lot of places, most of your friends are religious. Most of them might be very religious, part of a church. They want you to come to their church. So for you to say you're an atheist, not only do you become a target of their, conversion tactics, you become someone that has a problem and needs to be fixed. And so a lot of kids don't want to tell their peers because, they don't want to be ostracized by everyone in their community. There's a lot of stories about students who came out as atheists in the Bible Belt, and that started, people started picking on them because of it. They would call them names. They would say nasty things to them. They would yell out, when they're saying the Pledge of Allegiance in the morning, one nation under God, like the atheist in the room needs to hear that. And then there's also some instances of physical bullying and a lot of Facebook and Twitter bullying as well. So there's the peers. So let's say you get past that. Let's say you're an atheist and you're out and you're open about it, and you want to, let's say, start a group. Now you face a whole nother world of obstacles, which is sometimes you have administrators who don't want you to have an atheist club. So they will throw everything in your path so that you can't have it. You might need a meeting to start a club, but the principal keeps pushing the meeting back, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the school year, or you're about to graduate, and then your group doesn't happen. Or the principal tells you, oh, you didn't file the rules properly. You need to find another faculty sponsor. That's another tough one. Finding a teacher who's willing to be there for your meetings. Doesn't even have to be an atheist, but that can be an obstacle sometimes. And after all of that, even if you got past all those obstacles, now you got to deal with society at large. Society at large is basically telling you that, religion is a good thing. That if you go to church, you're a good person. No one wants, usually atheists aren't given a lot of respect in society. Or if they're a character on the TV show or in a movie, they're the bad character. Someone who doesn't believe in God can't possibly be good in those situations. So there's this huge stereotype, this stigma that atheists have to overcome. And so what you're seeing in a lot of high school and college atheist groups, it's not so much about getting other people to not believe in God. It's about getting the stereotype, washed away. So a lot of atheist groups might do volunteering projects. They might work with a religious group to maybe sponsor a debate or have a bigger discussion about these issues. Because that's one way of showing, look, we can be good without God, and that's not a big deal. So if you're an atheist, it's not a bad thing. I've met so many people who have grown up in the church environment, and I think every atheist can tell you this story where you get to know someone and you become friends, and then the atheist, says, I'm an atheist. And the reaction we get is, oh, but I thought you were a good person. Because the stereotype is that atheists are not good people. So that's one of the things that we have to deal with, that obstacle that says atheists are bad, immoral people. And when you've grown up in a church culture where atheists are always the other, it's going to be hard for Christians to kind of get past their own, prejudice that they were raised with and agree that, oh, maybe Jesus isn't the only path to being good. Maybe God isn't needed for a person to be a kind, decent human being. But sometimes it takes atheists to come out and show other people the way. I'm Hemant Mehta, and I write at friendlyatheist.com. If you have any questions you'd like us to answer on this channel, please leave those in the comments as well, and we will try to get to those.